Unfortunately, because of my ill health, I couldn't participate in person. That's why I'm sending you this recorded message. What I thought was I'll discuss about the food security situation in Tamil Nadu with the participants of this great conference. Tamil Nadu, as you know very well, has a long history of a very good functioning public distribution system in the country. The public distribution system in the state of Tamil Nadu was like in any other state, was more of palliative care when it was started. During the times of distress, the state will intervene in select pockets with specific food help programs. That was the pattern even during the mid 60s. Then, during the 1967 elections, food became the central focus of the election campaign in the state because
നോക്കൂ, ഒരു വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു കാര്യം ഞാൻ പറഞ്ഞത് നിങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിച്ചോന്നറിയില്ല. പുറത്ത് കുറേ പേര് വെയിറ്റ് ചെയ്യുന്നുണ്ട്. നിങ്ങൾ അങ്ങനെ പോയി കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ ചിലപ്പോൾ തിരിച്ചു വരുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് സീറ്റ് ഉണ്ടാവില്ല. മാത്രമല്ല അവിടെ കുറച്ച് തിരക്കും ആവും. ഇപ്പോൾ കുറച്ച് പേരൊന്ന് പോവുക, അവർ വന്നതിന് ശേഷം മറ്റുള്ളവർ പോവുക. അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഒരു 10 മിനിറ്റ് മാത്രമേ ടീ ബ്രേക്ക് ഉള്ളൂ. ഓക്കെ, താങ്ക്സ്. പ്ലീസ് പ്ലേ.
So the distress situation faced prior to that election, the state was undergoing tremendous problems on the food front. The ruling government was finding it very, very difficult to manage the situation. So they had to introduce select kind of ration system throughout the state. But the system that was introduced by that then government was a very small one, serving about 4 lakh people, and came very late, and also a very small quantity of help in terms of providing grains. The main constraint at that time was on 2 counts. One, the non-availability of grain in the country as a whole, and secondly, the distribution system was not in place. And also thirdly, the resource constraint in terms of finances. These are the 3 important reasons why the system responded so poorly at that time. However, the opposition mounted a scathing attack on the then ruling government, saying that it was paying the least attention in terms of dehoarding the stocks of food grains, controlling the prices, as well as distribution to the needy ones. So, the then opposition party, the DMK, promised in that election that if it is voted to the power, they will provide 3 measures of rice for a rupee. That was a big promise given during that election. In 1967, DMK stormed to power, but when C.N. Annadurai, who became the chief minister at that time, when he consulted the bureaucracy of the state, the bureaucracy was very reluctant on 2 counts. One, it said we do not have enough of rice stock to keep this promise. And secondly, the resources of the state government was not enough to fulfill this promise. But Anna insisted that at least we should start the program, and eventually the program started only in 2 places, that is Coimbatore city and Chennai city. At that time, in 1967, the Tamil Nadu people were not even given ration cards. All the households were not covered under the distribution system. Only in select pockets the ration cards were issued. So, between 1967 and 1975, Annadurai passed away in 1969, and Karunanidhi became the chief minister in 1969. He took serious note of the food situation in the country, and also the kind of the big brother attitude played by the union government through the Food Corporation of India. Though the Food Corporation of India was holding huge stocks, they were not willing to part with the grains as and when the state needed. Everyday politics decided more about the allocation rather than about the specific requirements. So keeping this in mind, the Karunanidhi administration between 71 and 76 took several steps. That was the foundation even today serves the state very well in terms of ensuring a very good functioning public distribution system. First thing that he did was to start a separate food corporation. It was known as the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation, in the lines of the Food Corporation of India. The Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation actually copied what the Food Corporation did in all its details. Like for instance, It procured, stored, processed, and then it distributed the whole grain stock that is required for the public distribution system. And also, more importantly, none of the infrastructure was in place in a very to the scale that is required for a very efficient functioning of the system. For instance, if you take the distribution points, the state owned hardly 500 distribution points. You take in terms of number of cards issued, there are a few lakhs as compared to the requirement of few crores of cards. So, for the first time in the whole of the history of state, all the households in the state were identified and distributed with the family cards in 1974 when the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation was formed. Tamil Nadu Civil Supply Corporation started spreading its wings throughout the state. It started with 500 shops during the 1975. And every regime that followed since then has been constantly focusing on ensuring the access of food grain to the households in the state. As a result, as of today, the Tamil Nadu public distribution system has a network of about 36,000 shops, run by predominantly by cooperatives, and a few thousands by the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation. These shops ensure the distribution of food grains at the local level. On the other hand, the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation is the nodal agency through which grain is sourced either from the Wood Corporation of India or from the outside market, and then stored, processed, and distributed to all these networks. And in terms of the pricing, to begin with, the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation was mandated to serve the people at the cost price of whatever grain they handled. So there is no big subsidy element in that. As a result, what had happened is the food was made available, but the households, poorer households, particularly the rural households, were finding it difficult to grab that opportunity and utilize the grain stock that were available. So that was the scene during the late 70s and early 80s. To begin with, the Tamil Nadu Civil Supplies Corporation was distributing the food items that it was mandated to do at the cost price. At that time, the state resources were not enough to provide subsidies on a large scale. The first phase of the program was to ensure the availability. That was the aim. Then when the situation improved, every regime that came to power in Tamil Nadu since the 1970s has been trying to expand the public distribution system, not only in terms of the coverage but also in terms of accessibility. So election after election, the politics of food was at the center stage, and at every point of time, whenever it was possible, the successive government started subsidizing the food that was being provided to the public distribution system. On the one hand, they expanded the number of shops at one front. At another level, they expanded the number of items that were being distributed, and at third level, they started subsidizing the food. At one point, the DMK government, which came to power in 96, I think, it reduced the price of food from 2 rupees per kg. And then subsequently, towards the end of the regime, they reduced it to 1 rupee. And then when in that election, at the end of the term, when the elections were conducted and ADMK stormed to power, they made it free. Since then, the public distribution system in Tamil Nadu is providing rice for each card holder free of cost. 20 kgs of rice, a minimum of 20 kgs of rice for each card holder. And this has been made possible by a huge subsidy bill that is being run by the government. Then Tamil Nadu is the last state to get on board to the National Food Security Act. All the provisions of the National Food Security Act were already in place in Tamil Nadu. So the only problem was in terms of the restrictions that are being imposed by the National Food Security Act. While Tamil Nadu had been having the universal public distribution system, and was distributing free of cost. The National Food Security Act mandated that only 67 or 68% of the rural households and the 30 or 39 or 40% of the urban households to be covered under the NFSA. Tamil Nadu was not willing to fall into that line. Instead, what it did was it evolved a hybrid model whereby it kept the coverage of the older system in place, but providing new subsidies, accepting another burden of around 3,000 crores per annum. And as of today, there are about 36,000 shops. We provide rice, wheat, kerosene, and also dal and sugar and palm oil. And altogether, because of the specific regime where we have universal public distribution system, we end up with a subsidy bill of around 12,000 to 13,000 crores per annum to run this public distribution system. The surveys, all the surveys that are being done, the state show that Tamil Nadu public distribution system is one of the least systems where the leakage is the least, number one. Exclusion is also the least. These are the two merits of this system, despite the huge bill that we put to run this program. Apart from this conventional understanding of the functioning of the public distribution system, the political economy of the public distribution system is altogether of a different kind. In the sense, in the transformation of the village power structure and in the transformation of the rural relationship, in production relationship, the strengthening of the public distribution system played a very crucial role in terms of altering that relationship as well as the power structure. All the studies that have been conducted in Tamil Nadu prior to, let us say, the 80s have invariably showed that the entire power operated through the control over food. And the food, the wages that were paid either in kind or cash was hardly sufficient to meet the subsistence requirements of the landless agricultural laborers. It was through this the entire system was built, operated, and controlled. So when the public distribution system slowly reached the villages and all the coverage was expanded to cover all the rural households, they found a new hope in terms of accessing food. The days of depending entirely on the landed elite for their food was becoming was turning out to be a old story. So the new regime ensured that people are free from the clutches of the old landed people, and now they are free to, since they are freed from the concern about their food, they were free in the sense to look around for new kinds of opportunities. And in that sense, that helped Tamil Nadu to diversify into rural non-farm employment on a very big scale and also into the expansion of urban population. As of today, Tamil Nadu is one of the states where the urban population has crossed 50%, and also the level of rural non-farm employment is very high in the country, one of the highest states in the country. These changes were possible essentially because of the changes in the rural power structure, and the changes were under the introduction and the implementation of the food security systems through the efficient public distribution system played a very crucial and important role in the function in these kinds of changes. In that sense, the food security that we are talking about has more meaning and more import in the state than the simple way of understanding that it is related to just hunger and hunger-free alone. And thank you very much, and I wish the conference a grand success.